The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends above our heads over there at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. Anthony Hartley with you alongside Mr. Scotty Mitcher. And Scotty, how we doing today?
I'm good, man. As we talked for a second off the air, I know you're good. Don't
We're
even
good, you know.
ask you why.
We're up here good. We're, you know,
Yeah.
we're rocking it. Let's go. I'll give you whose jersey am I wearing, Scotty?
I'm gonna take a wild guess, and I'm gonna say, is it Chris
Can you
Jones?
see the number? Can you see the number? It's 29. 29 is the number. So it's 29 for the Chiefs.
Okay.
So you run through your head some good players in the past. Let's see how good your trivia is.
Yeah.
Pretty popular Chiefs player. Probably got off the Chiefs 2018. It was his last year.
Okay, man.
I'll keep giving you hints as you go along. I'll see if you can get it though. I'll give you some time first.
Geez, why am I drawing a? It wasn't. Is it Eric Berry?
Nailed it.
Damn.
You got it, buddy. Took you a minute.
Okay.
But you got it. You got it. My boy EB coming back from cancer, kicking its butt. You know.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I wish we could have gotten a Super Bowl ring. I wish we could sign him for like a one-day contract during the Super Bowl just to get him a ring because, man, that guy deserves it for all he did for Kansas City and the inspiration that he was to so many people from really kind of the first NFL player that we saw. Now we've seen a couple since, but, you know, Eric Berry, he got diagnosed with lymphoma and everyone thought not only was his career over, but, you know, he was going to be fighting for his life. And then 2 years later, he comes back on the Chiefs and he has one of his best, you know, PFF graded seasons of his career in the last 2 years of his career. And then obviously he tore his Achilles, I think, in that last season. And he kind of, I think he went to another team officially. I think someone else signed him, but he never really did anything with them. So his career kind of unceremoniously ended, which was kind of sad. But one of my favorite Chiefs of the 2010s for sure.
Yeah, I always liked him too. I wanted the Browns to draft him going back to his college days at Tennessee. He was a good, and that was a great story too.
Oh yeah.
So was his 2018?
His last game in Kansas City was the AFC Championship game. We lost to New England. He was in that game. He played in that game. That was his last game. So Mahomes' first year, he was on our defense for that. And he played in that AFC Championship game. We lost to Tom Brady. In fact, The Gronk's catch that he had to set up the game-winning touchdown, he caught over Eric Berry. Like, it was really well defended. Gronk just made a really good play because he's a Hall of Famer. And so if you ever go and watch back that game, you can see him make that catch over Eric Berry.
Well, wasn't there didn't someone, was it Ford, or wasn't there someone?
Well, we don't talk about that. We don't.
Yeah.
D Ford, yeah, he was offsides. Tom Brady threw a game-ending pick. Should have been a game. That was in regulation. We had the lead. We picked it off, and got called back because D Ford lined up offsides. So
Yeah, that was
he left. We did not re-sign him. He went to San Francisco. We beat him in the Super Bowl. So I don't even know if he's even playing anymore now. I don't know where he is.
And that was Mahomes' first year as a starter, right?
Yep.
That was also the year Kareem Hunt got suspended.
Yep.
So,
And really, we saw the emergence of Damian Williams in the backfield for Kansas City, who I thought was the X factor in that Super Bowl run the next year. So I think if Mahomes wasn't this Mahomes, I think that first Super Bowl, Damian Williams probably would have won the MVP. Because if you're being honest, he's probably the reason why we won that game. But we digress and we go back into local sports. We'll get into what's on our mind, and that could be national, that could be local in a little bit. I know everyone is used to Wrestling Wednesday starting at the start of the show. We do have Wrestling Wednesday today. Don't worry, it will be a part of this show. But today, for scheduling conflicts and whatever with Gary, it has been moved to 1:30. So 1:30 is going to be Wrestling Wednesday today. We'll have Gary pop on, and we'll also have Isaac Griffith from Gerard, their newest member of the 100 Win Club. He had a good weekend, getting his 100th win. Not this weekend, but last weekend, down there at the Hefner tournament in Fitch. So we'll talk to Isaac Griffith about getting 100 wins, what other goals he has this season, and all that fun stuff. That'll be at 1:30. So if you're waiting for Wrestling Wednesday, 1:30, Gary and Isaac will be on. We'll talk wrestling. But let's hop into the scoreboard, Scotty. Let's see what went down last night. We had 26 games on the network last night, which is a great way to end the last Tuesday of January. This is the last day of January. Scotty, can you believe we're in February right now?
yeah, I saw like a meme, and it said how there was a leap year in 2020. This year's a leap year, and the last leap year it was Chief 49ers Super Bowl, and looking like a Biden Trump election, and then this year it's the same thing. So,
well, the only thing I've seen is the last time the Chiefs and Niners played in the Super Bowl, it was the COVID year. So everyone's like, "Oh no, what's going to happen after they play this year? What kind of travesty are we going to go through?" So you got to think more positive than that.
Yeah, for sure, we gotta be more positive.
Let's go to the scoreboard, which is brought to you by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs. The YSN scoreboard is a great tool for our fans, whether you're at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts, or maybe both, because let's just face it, there's no better way to spend your time than watching a game and being in a game personally. Either way, you don't want to look away from the action for too long. The YSN scoreboard is a quick and easy way to find live updated scores of your favorite teams, whether it be your rival or your friends. The YSN scoreboard is live updated by a great team that we have behind the scenes that makes sure that you don't have to wait until midnight for the final scores to come in. So here are the here are the scores from last night's games. Ashtabula St. John welcomed in Fairport Harding. They fell to Harding 71-52, the final score there. Gerard and Lakeview doing some battle inside the NE8. And I know Lakeview has been dealing with some adversity, but they get the nice win, 73-59, the final score there in Cortland. Howland gets revenge on Austintown Fitch with a 49-40 win over the Falcons. They now split the season series with Fitch. Oh, come on. There we go. Camel and Champion. It's Camel getting the win 82-50, a big offensive day for the Red Devils. Geneva and Conneaut, it's all Eagles in that one, 72-31. Harvey goes into the Dragon's Den and Lakeside, gets the win 59-47. LeBray gets a little bit of a fight from Brookfield, but eventually it beats the Warriors 66-59. Final score there. Valley Christian wins over Latonia 61-26 in the EOAC. Garrettsville Garfield, they get the win over Liberty 67-61. Final score there. Jefferson with the win over Madison 56-36. Badger all over Matthews 86-67. Middle Ridge, they fall to Lowville on the road. Scotty, I know you're happy about that. And your Rockets looking good, 57-38. Final score there. Newton Falls falls to Crestview in a wild one down in the Rebel Dome, 64-53. 54-53, excuse me. Rebels get the 1-point victory over the Tigers. It's a big loss for Newton Falls. Struthers gets the win over Niles, 60-51. Archbishop Hoban gets TK Griffiths' 500th career victory as they beat Holy Name 81-52, the final score there. Edgewood holds off Perry 70-64. It's a little bit of a revenge game for Edgewood as they get the win there against the Pirates. South Range tells Poland you will not celebrate an NEA championship in the Thriller Dome as the Raiders get the win in overtime 41-35 over the Bulldogs, handing Poland their first conference loss of the year. And Poland still with a chance to win the league outright. They'll play Struthers next week with that on the line. If they win against Struthers, it's Poland's alone. If they lose against Struthers and South Range also wins their last NE8 game, then it will be a tie in the first place spot in the NE8. Salem and Hubbard doing some battle in the non-conference world, and Salem gets to win 55-40, the final score there. Springfield all over Sebring, final score 75-28. Lisbon trying to stay undefeated in the EOAC. They get the victory 79-24 over Southern Locals, so no problems there for the Blue Devils, still undefeated in the EOAC. Edison falls to Steubenville Central Catholic 60-46. Columbiana beats United 55-31. Columbiana just one game back still of Lisbon, trying to keep pace in that EOAC. Boardman fell to Warren Harding last night. Final score 60-50. We saw Canfield win a wild one against Warren JFK. 65-53, the final score there. The Cardinals win that Battle of the Birds. Waterloo stays in first place in the MVAC Scarlet Tier. 62-41, they beat Jackson Milton. Wellsville beats East Palestine on the road. 52-50, a big fight from the Bulldogs, but not enough to take off the Tigers. Battle of the Blue Devils goes to Western Reserve, 48-46. Final score there. Western Reserve gets the win over McDonald. Cardinal Mooney wins a Steel Valley Conference thriller with East, 56-53. The final score there. Ursuline takes care of Cheney, 82-62. Final score there. Beaver celebrates senior night. They get the win over Blackhawk, 79-66. Grand Valley is able to knock off Pymatuning Valley, 55-51. That's a little bit of a shocker down there in the 440. I'm sorry. We go to East Liverpool with the 58-46 win over Indian Creek. Beaver Local, they fall to Minerva, 82-54. Mohawk beats Beaver Falls, 56-51. Wyndham beats Cocker, 53-14. That's actually the girls' score. It was a boys-girls doubleheader. The girls won 53-14. The boys won in a nail-biter against Chalker on the boys' side. The final score was Wyndham 49 and Chalker 47. So Wyndham wins the boys and girls doubleheader as the Bombers destroy Chalker on the girls' side, and that's the girls' score right there, 53-14. And the boys win over Chalker as well, 49-47. Final score there. So that does it for the scoreboard. Scotty, I'm going to bring you into the conversation. What was your biggest takeaway of last night?
I think honestly it was great to see my Rockets get that big win last night, but my biggest takeaway, my two biggest takeaways are Columbiana getting that big conference win and staying alive for a conference title over United, and then Canfield getting that big time win against Warren JFK, and that was a really thrilling game as well. So those would probably be my two biggest takeaways from last night.
In that Canfield game, it was Dom Cruz that had the huge performance for the Cardinals going off for them. And this was going to be a matchup that was going to be kind of a measuring stick for Warren JFK. Obviously, they're Division 4 going up to play Division 2 Canfield team. So going up two divisions, trying to see where they measure, what they have to work on. And yeah, they just didn't have enough firepower. Their Nick Ryan had a big game, and Jaden Richard was in double figures. So was Nico Seminaro, but just weren't enough to overcome the inside out game of Canfield. They have good inside presence and players like Ben Weaver, but then they also have that good guard play that can beat you from the outside, like Dom Cruz and Sam Castronova, who also had a really good game for Canfield. That's why Canfield's so tough to defend. They can beat you inside. They can have the big bruisers that can pound in the paint, but they also have some guards that can really do a lot of work off the dribble. So Canfield's offense hard to defend. JFK a little bit of a skid of late, but they're working hard to put it together, and all they care about is being right when tournament time comes up.
Yeah, and I think even with the loss, I want to say they still have the same record, or at least the same amount of wins as Canfield. So still in a good position.
So the other game that I think I want to talk about, mainly because I was there, I called the game. South Range beating Poland in overtime, 41-35. Poland came into the night undefeated in the NE8, and they were basically trying to win the NE8 last night. If they won in the Thriller Dome, then it would have been NE8 champions outright. Give them the trophy. It's done. It's theirs. And South Range lost to Poland earlier in the year at Poland in a game that, talking to Coach Carton, he feels like they just kind of ran out of gas, and they felt like they played really hard in the first half, was right there, and then second half the intensity level just kind of went down, and Poland took advantage of that and really started to put on cruise control. So one of the things they wanted to do that last night I should say, was to just play a full basketball game, have their foot on the gas pedal the whole time, and it took it because Poland was relentless. There were times when South Range looked like they had control of the game. There were a couple of times late when Poland looked like they had control of the game. It's just a back and forth game between two teams that don't want to lose at all. South Range does not want to see Poland celebrate in the conference, and Poland obviously going for a league title. So two teams that really were motivated last night, and in the end, South Range gets in overtime. One of the big reasons why, Scotty, to start overtime, Landon Moore has an and one, and that just gave the Raiders a whole big energy boost, and it felt like they were the more conditioned team in OT.
Yeah, and it'll get you. Definitely, it's like one of those plays where it could be a momentum changer. So that doesn't surprise me, and especially when you're starting overtime and you get a play like that off the bat in overtime, it's kind of like I think they were able to exhale a little bit. And they're like, okay, like we got this, we can do this.
South Range wins again. They are still alive in the 88. They need Poland to lose against Struthers. So we talked about that before. So South Range still mathematically in it. Poland, if they beat Struthers, it's theirs outright. So that goal did not go away last night with the loss. So we will still wait to see what fate the NE8 has. Poland already won it. I mean, they already have guaranteed at least a share. So Poland are the NE8 champs. You can say that with certainty. They're just trying to make sure they don't have to share the title. When you look at South Range at home, this is what I want to talk about. Pulling up their schedule, really hard to go win in the Thriller Dome. The last team to beat them at home, I believe, was just the first game of the season. Louisville came into the Thriller Dome and beat them 71-61, and we all know how good Louisville is up there in Division One. So South Range has not lost the league game at home. They have only lost one game at home all season. It's tough to go into the Thriller Dome and beat South Range, and they proved it again last night, welcoming in the conference champions and denying them access to that outright championship. All right, Scotty, we have a little bit of time maybe for one thing. What is on your mind today? We'll ask that before we take a break and head into Wrestling Wednesday at 1:30.
All right, sounds good, Anthony. I wanted to tackle a couple things, but quickly, obviously here. Like you and last week on the show, we talked about because I brought up the interview from the week before, and it was I'm blanking on the name now. Stan Korb was his last name. The wrestler Marky Stan Korb, yeah. And we were talking last week on the show about how during that interview, like he was very animated, like charismatic in sports. And I wanted to know from you, Anthony, do you think like when it comes to like personality in sports, like do you think like people's opinion on it maybe are different depending on what sport it is, or do you think it really doesn't matter? And you as a fan, do you like seeing players that are more animated and show that fire, or do you appreciate the guys that just kind of like go about their business? You don't really see too much emotion, like a Nick Chubb, for example.
Well, of course, the people's opinion changes on sport. I mean, you look at football, you're supposed to be this mean, aggressive. People love the personalities in football. They want you to be that way. They want you to push people when they're down. There's a lot of fans that don't like the taunting rule in NFL because they feel like this is football. You're supposed to, break the will of the opponent. You're supposed to be able to get in their face when you make a big hit. I'm kind of one of those people, especially in the NFL. I don't want to see that stuff at the lower levels in high school and some college games. But when you're a professional getting paid millions of dollars, I'm not worried about your feelings getting hurt on the field, right? I was okay with the Ravens guy making the big catch, pushing our guy on the floor and standing over him. Did I take the penalty? Of course I did. Let's go. Like, hey, take the penalty. But at the same time, I'm like, man, it's the NFL. These guys are being paid millions, and it's football. You're supposed to literally get your opponent to the point where they don't want to line up and fight you anymore. You got to break their will in football. You got to taunt them a little bit. You got to get in their heads. So football is that thing. But then you go and you sidetrack to baseball. People want you to play baseball the way they want you to play baseball. They don't like the people that bat flip. They don't like the people that, trot down the home run. You're not supposed to have that kind of energy in baseball. It's a different game. It's a different mindset. There's unwritten rules. Basketball, taunting is a much bigger thing in basketball. A guy just got teed last night in college because he dunked and he just looked at the guy. Like he just stared, like it wasn't even down on the ground. It was just, I'm going to look at you for an extra second when I land, and the ref teed him up. It's like every sport's different, and what fans expect and how fans expect you to act. I think the more physical the sport, the more that fans, as general, I'm just talking generalized, the more fans allow kind of over the top personality. I feel like.
And I guess a better question would be like, it is obvious thinking of it that different sports, people are going to have different views on how players should go about.
No one out there pushing each other in golf.
Yeah. Or doing a Happy Gilmore and having the crowd.
But I do like the golfers that show a little bit of emotion. Let me know that it's still important to you a little bit,
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of fun. Like Tiger's giant fist bumps when he got a big putt. Those were fun. And before he started doing that, no one was really that big of a, celebration in golf. I like just show me a little bit that it means something to you out on the golf course.
So you still want to see a little bit.
I do. I want to see that it means something to you. And I know it means something to people that are calm, cool, and collected and stoic. Like, I get it. You can't be at that level without it meaning something to you. But at the same point, it's like, I want to see it. I want proof. I want tangible proof that it means something to you, that you're out there winning.
Last thing real quick, because I know we're getting into Wrestling Wednesday. But real quick, do you have you personally, someone that hits a home run in baseball and then is just kind of doing the slow trot and kind of
love it.
So you don't have a problem with it?
No, not at all.
Okay,
no,
cool.
As long as you're not doing it directly, at somebody, you're not trying to. There are so many times when it happens when it's just I'm just drop the bat, or I trot down the first baseline. Don't say anything to the pitcher. Some people have a problem with it, but as long as you're keeping it with you and your team, I'm fine with it. So we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we have Wrestling Wednesday with Gary Altizer and Isaac Griffith, and we're gonna have some fun on Running Point. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Don't go anywhere.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
And welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. It is Wrestling Wednesday. We are here, and we are going to bring on special guest today from Girard, their newest member of the 100 Win Club, Isaac Griffith. Isaac, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
No problem.
You got it. Well, first question, we'll just go right off the jump, and we'll say 100th win just, a couple weekends ago. How'd that feel? You obviously have put a lot of work and time into getting 100 wins as a career, and you finally are able to get it. Take us through the emotions and how it felt to get that 100th career victory.
Well, I didn't even know I was going to hit the 100 wins before that match. So, it was a nice surprise to find out that I did, because I knew I was going to hit it eventually in that tournament eventually, but I didn't know specifically when. So it was nice. It was a nice surprise, and I was excited. But the thing was, I just got to I'm always trying to focus on the next match, and I'm not really trying to dwell on it. But it was nice to hit the 100 wins. But my big focus is getting to state. So that's always my number one focus.
As we talk to different athletes that are going towards milestones, they handle it in different ways. Some kids like to know exactly where they're at, points wise or wins wise, and some are like you, where they just like, hey, I'll get there eventually, and when I get there, it'll be a surprise. I know I'm close. What was it like for you going into that weekend, knowing that you were there, knowing that you were close, but not having that pressure that you were at 99 and not having to know, okay, the next win is 100?
It was nice. So I could just, I just focused on wrestling. I didn't have to focus on getting my 100th win. And I really just wanted to focus on winning that tournament. That's how I feel whenever I go into a tournament, is I just want to win. That's my number one goal. So it's never really been on my mind to get stats like that.
So Gary Altizer, who is usually with us as our wrestling guru, he has a question that he asks every week. So I'll take his place today and I'll ask it for you. The marks of a good wrestler is having a good drilling partner. So take us through who your drilling partners are and what they mean to you and how much they've helped you in your success.
Well, yeah, I think that statement's really true. I've had a couple drill partners this year. Mainly right now, I just drill with my coach. His name's Coach Garrett, but I'll work in with Jack Del Garbino. Sometimes will come in the room and I'll work with him, or I'll work with our 175 Tucker Steiner. I work with him a lot. Me and him go at it. He's a junior and I'm a senior, so we both known each other for a while, so we compete a lot during practice. But my main drill partners, I'd say, are my coach Garrett and Jack Del Garbino.
All right, so you take all the goals that you have, and you already said you're focused on getting the state. Talk about that goal this year, and what it's been like focusing on that and trying to use every match, every practice as a footstep to getting to your ultimate goal.
That's always just the biggest goal, is to make it to state, and it's we haven't seen many state sports at Girard really at all, so it would be amazing for me to make it, and it's the big goal. That's the number one thing.
As we're talking about the goals that you can achieve in your future, let's track back a little bit and talk about your wrestling journey. When did you start getting involved in the sport, and when did you find yourself kind of falling in love with it, in the sense that you knew that it was something that you wanted to work really hard at and spend as much time as you do in it?
Well, I started wrestling about 6th grade, and I've been wrestling ever since then, but I never really found the passion for it until about 8th grade, when I started to really compete at a higher level. That's when I really started to find a passion for it. And ever since then, I've just been in love, and I just love going to practice and getting some work in, and I just love wrestling. So ever since 8th grade.
Was there a certain coach or a certain match or a certain time when you remember you starting to really, like you said, build a passion for it? Was there a reason? Was there a rhyme or reason why it started to click in your brain?
I would say, my high school coach, Coach Jim, and Coach my Coach JT and my Coach Walt, they're really big inspirations. They really make this sport enjoyable for me. I definitely have to say that. But for a specific moment, I would just say when I just started to consistently be able to win, that's when I realized wow, I'm actually good at this. I should really put forth as much effort as I can.
All right, so another question that Gary, who is usually with us, likes to ask. Of course, there's so much stress around weigh-ins and trying to get yourself to the right weight when you're weighing in. But then once that's done, you get to relax a little bit and take a breath. And he always wants to know, what's your favorite post weigh-in meal to kind of celebrate you hitting that weight?
For me, it's Subway. I don't know why, but ever since my freshman year, I've always just got a foot-long sub from Subway and some cookies. That's always been my go-to post weigh-in meal.
What's the Subway order?
It's varied over the years. I used to just get steak and cheese, double meat, and then I'd toast it. But nowadays, I get more like I'll get turkey breast, bacon, and then salami, and then I'll get like some spinach, peppers, onions, mayo, and tomato. That's my usual order now. And then I'll get the white chocolate chip macadamia nut cookies. Those are the best.
It's a Running Point tradition, making us all hungry right around lunchtime. That's what we just have to do.
Yeah.
Talk about this wrestling room and the guys in it, and what it's like to be one of the leaders in there and trying to build this program into a legacy and to, shape your teammates into wrestlers that can go on and keep this program running.
My main thing when I'm in the room is I just try to lead by example. So what I do is I just try to work harder than everyone else. I try to just I try to make it look like I'm not tired, but when I actually am, so that the other guys can see that and think this isn't as bad as it is, and to work through the struggles. And I just try to be that light for my teammates so they can keep working harder and keep getting better.
When we talk to wrestlers, we love to talk about the mental toughness of wrestling and what it's like being out there on your own. No teammate can save you. It's just you and your opponent. And there are always tough times in every match. How do you get through those? How do you get yourself in the right mental state personally to get through wrestling?
Usually when I'm trying to get through hard moments in wrestling, I usually just think back to the hardest times I've had in wrestling matches, the most tired I've been, and like the most pain I've been in, and I compare them and I just say, this isn't as bad as it was then, and I made it through then, so I can make it through now. And that's usually my main philosophy whenever I run into hardships.
What are things that you think you've worked on the most this year to improve on or to make yourself better?
I would say what I improved on most this year was just I would say just my variety of takedowns. Last year I only really relied on the single leg, but now I'm starting to use single leg, double leg more, like interchangeably pretty much. I'll go for ankle picks too sometimes. So I've expanded my my setups a lot too. I've been using an underhook a lot. So I've just been pretty much working on the basics, I guess, and just refining them.
You're obviously a great athlete at Girard, and one of the things that is also apparent is you're a student athlete, so you have to do your work in the classroom. So we want to ask you about some of your favorite things to study, and what are your favorite subjects at Girard right now?
My favorite subjects are definitely math subjects. I really like I'm in a statistics class right now. That's really fun. But other than that, I'm in physics. That's really hard. I don't think I would say I enjoy that though. I'm trying to think. I'm in this presidential election class. That one's pretty fun. I like that one a lot.
Isaac for president one day. Let's go.
I'd
vote for you. I'd vote for you for sure. Not just because you could take me down if I didn't vote for you. That's not the only reason, I promise.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your future. What are some of the things that you see in your future and things that you want to do after high school?
Well, I wanna go to Ohio State. I already applied there and I got accepted there. So that's pretty much my number one school. I'm gonna go there, and I want to major in computer science, and then I want to become a quantitative analyst. That's the plan for now. So we'll see where college takes me, but I want to get a computer science degree for sure. I think that would be very helpful.
This might be a easiest answer of the whole interview, but what made you choose Ohio State? Why was that a dream school?
Well, my whole family went there. My parents both went there. My aunts and uncles both went there. And my sister goes there now, and I just love it. I love the sports. I love the campus. I've been there a lot for a lot of games. So I mean, everything about it is just amazing to me.
Would you be the first quantitative analyst of your family?
Yeah, I would.
What drew you into wanting to be that in that career path, and what made you passionate about that?
Well, I really like computers, and because I built my own computer my freshman year, and I had a lot of fun with that, and I've just always been into computers since then, and I'm really good at math, and I really enjoy math, so I feel like that was a good combination of the two.
In the comments on Facebook, Mark Stancorb giving you some love, saying good luck and keep working hard and good things will happen. And That brings us into the next question, of course, which is the wrestling community. You get to wrestle against and with great people. What are some friends that you've made along the way that maybe aren't in the Gerard wrestling room, but you still love wrestling against, and you love the camaraderie that the sport brings?
Definitely all my teammates from Green Machine up in Austin Town are definitely some friends I've made. Mark Stamkor, of course. He was my drill partner on Green Machine, so I know him pretty well. And I just like he helps motivate me because when I see him succeed, I try to do better than him almost. I guess it's like a little competition almost.
We also
so I
have
try
to talk
compete with
about.
them.
We also love to talk about rivals, right? There's always that wrestler that, you every time you square up against, you're going to get a really good match from, and it's one of those ones that you get a little bit extra motivated to beat. Who are some people that come to mind that you love wrestling against, and you get kind of gassed when you know that they're going to be across from you on the mat?
I mean, I don't really. There's not too many wrestlers that I've wrestled like multiple times that I've known that it would be a good match. I mean, Mark, I knew that would be a good match, but that was my first time ever wrestling him in an official match. But I guess him because just because I've wrestled him before in practice, but I've never. There's not too many wrestlers that I've wrestled multiple times in a season. I guess that I would consider a rival.
All right, our wrestling guru Gary Altizer joining us. Gary, I already took care of the drill partner question. I took that for you. I knew that's a staple of Wrestling Wednesdays. Thanks for coming on and being able to join us in a tight day. I'll let you ask a question for Isaac before we get him out of here.
Okay, Isaac. So I was looking at some of your results the last couple of years. It looks like you made it to the blood round of the district tournament last year. I know that probably set things up for this year where you are mentally. Is your ultimate goal to get to the state tournament? Is it to be a placer? Where do you want to be at the end of the year? And do you think last year being that close helps you mentally?
Yeah, I want to. My ultimate goal is just to make it to state. I want to take it one step at a time, and of course, I want to place, and of course, I want to do all this. But first step is I gotta make it there. So that's definitely my ultimate goal. And last year, just barely not making it, just missing alternate by one place, and that's really been my fuel all off season and all year this year is just to make it. Since I was so close, it was right outside my grasp last year, and that's really just been my main motivation thing throughout the whole year.
All right, Isaac, we know you have class. We're not going to keep it for too much longer, but before we let you go, we do this for every player profile. I want to give you the chance to turn the light off of you and onto your support system. Give as many shout outs as you want to the people in your life that you wouldn't be where you are without.
I want to thank my coach, Coach Jim Cardero, for sure. Coach Mike Cardero, Coach Walt, Coach Garrett, Coach Del Garbino, for sure. Those guys have all been there for me. My parents, my mom, my mom, Kathy Griffith, and my dad, Bob Griffith. They've been huge supporters of me. My aunts, my uncles, the whole Griffith family. They've all been supporters. I want to give them all a shout out.
All right, Isaac, we want to thank you so much for joining us in the middle of the school day. We appreciate you giving us your time, and we look forward to talking to you real soon. Good luck the rest of this year, buddy.
Thank you.
You got it. Isaac Griffith from Girard, their newest member of the 100 Point Club, joining us here on Wrestling Wednesday. Gary, I know, unfortunately, because of the scheduling that you had today, weren't able to get on much of that interview. I'll just give you a recap. Going for state, like you said, he was so close last year. One of the things that he talked about was just using that as motivation and wanting that to be like just the driving force of his time here and trying to bring Girard a state placer, and one that they haven't had too much of in the recent past. So when you have a guy that gets so close like that, Gary, what's it like watching them just use that as motivation?
Oh, it's usually the ultimate motivator. If you're that close, then you believe that you can get there. And usually when you're that close, the following year, just like he said, that's the number one goal. That's the number one thing that's on their mind. It's the thing that's weighed heavy on them. You get that close and then the season's over. You don't wrestle again unless you go to something in an open tournament or you're doing some off-season work, but you don't get any more matches with your team. So you really, that's the last thing that you remember at the end of the season. So it really is one of the probably one of the ultimate motivators is getting to the state tournament, because like he said, you have to get there before you can place, before you can get on the podium, before you can be a state champ, you have to be a state qualifier. And when I was a kid, I had a coach that told me that you'll never see more heart or more effort from kids than you do in the blood round of the district tournament. Blood round is the round. If you win, you're going to Columbus, you're going to the state tournament. If you lose, you're not. So in that blood round, you just see kids go all out. And I'm sure that's exactly what he did. He went all out. He gave it all, his all, and it didn't come through for him. So now he's had that stewing in his mind all off season and now during the whole season. And I'm sure if he's held that as his focus, that he's saving his best, or he's going to peak at the right time to get there. If you can do that, especially if you've been that close, usually you'll see those kids punch their ticket the next season.
Another member of the Green Machine joining the Wrestling Wednesdays, as he works really well with that program in the off season. Gary, we'll transition into the recap of last week. Obviously, we have to talk about the EOWL that happened on Saturday at finals at Fitch, right?
Yeah.
Okay. At Fitch. Talk about what you saw with the EOWL and some of the big results that happened over the weekend.
Nick Bowser won the heavyweight weight class there. He upset. Well, I don't know if you call it an upset. He beat Dallas McCracken in a tight match there. There was some really great wrestlers there. Canfield kid placed really high. It was a kind of a meat grinder, and it was a tight match. You had two really high quality heavyweights going at it. That was a really, really good match to see. At the 132-pound weight class, Boo Heights and Heckman went at it. Both former guests here on Wrestling Wednesday. Really great match, a really tight match. And Adam Heckman was able to come through with the win there at the end. They were close. They were back and forth throughout the whole match. And Adam was able to catch his opponent just a little bit on his back, was able to get back points. That ended up being the difference in the match there. And it was another great tournament with a lot of really top quality wrestling. A lot of the locals that we talk about all the time, they did well there. And I really think that heavyweight weight class was the one where you kind of saw, the best guys rise to the top there. And, Bowser, when we talked to Nick Bowser, he said that, last year he wrestled hurt. And, a couple years, the years before, things hadn't worked out for him. So just like Isaac Griffith, probably has his eyes focused towards the end of the season. Now we're headed to the end of the season. Now it's kind of where you're seeing him ascend and be where he wants to be. Take nothing away from Dallas McCracken. He's been wrestling great all year. It was a tight match with two classic heavyweights going at it.
Yeah, now that the EOWLs are over, the next thing that we put our binoculars on to look at are obviously the tournament, right? The sectionals, and the things going on there. How much does winning the EOWL kind of propel you into the sectionals?
I mean, it's a great tournament. It's a big tournament, and it's a very tough tournament. So if you're able to get a championship there, you have to feel good heading into the postseason. There may be some, smaller conference or league tournaments, but usually by about now, most things are getting done. There might be one or two duels left. So this is probably the last big tournament that most teams have before they head to that sectional tournament. So if you come away with a championship there at the EOWL, you have to be feeling good as you head in to your postseason run.
Previewing some wrestling that we have on our schedule for the week. Unfortunately, no broadcast this week, but there are wrestling that is happening. A couple of duels, a couple of tries. Tonight, Crestview and Malvern and Southern are going to be at Jackson Milton. That should be a really fun one. I'm especially interested in Malvern versus Jackson Milton. I think those are two really good small school programs going at it. You got to think those are going to be the top two teams in that try.
Well, Southern Local is right there too with those guys, and if they're healthy, that'll be a three-way battle there. Crestview has some quality kids, but I don't think they have the numbers that the other three teams have. So depending on how many are in the lineup for Southern Local, they'll be right there with Malvern and Jackson Milton. That'll be three close duels that we'll see there. And this is when you're going to see the strategy of the coaches bumping guys around. When you get into close matches like that, you'll see just coaches move a guy up, bump a guy up, keep a guy there, or maybe their varsity at one weight will bump up, go to the wrestler at the next weight, and they have a tough guy waiting in the wings to take over there at that weight class. So that those three teams will be close. I'll be really interested to see the results of that.
Tomorrow we have another league duel with West Branch as they welcome in Carrollton into Beloit. So that'll be an EBC matchup there tomorrow. And then on Saturday we have a wrestling try with Toronto and Western Reserve going to East Palestine. That's on our schedule for Saturday. I'm sure this week is all about kind of finishing up your duels and finishing up your league responsibilities before you start focusing on tournament time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, just to get your last couple duels in here this last week, and then the week after. Really, this weekend and next weekend really are going to be it. After that, I don't know anybody that really schedules anything for their varsity the last 2 weeks. So we are really, really heading into the end of the season.
Yeah, and then when you have what team tournament first, and then the individual, right?
Yes, the team tournament is coming up too as well. Yeah, but we didn't even talk about that.
Right.
The state duel regionals are coming up, and they have the top 8 or 10 from in each region who will wrestle to get to that spot at the state tournament, where it's I think it's the final 8 teams in each division. There are 3 divisions, so you're talking about just a handful of teams are going for that team duel tournament. And being the best dual team does not mean that you're the best individual team either. So it's nice that they're now doing both of these, because that hasn't always been around. This is a newer thing that the OHSAA has done. So it's a really great thing to see, because the team aspect of wrestling is one that I personally think they don't focus on enough. And it really does build a lot of excitement when you know that you're not just out there and just wrestling in a sense for yourself, because your whole team is sitting there watching you while you wrestle. There's a big difference when you're in a tournament and you could have 3-4 guys wrestling at once, to where your teammates are all over the place. The kid had just got done wrestling, whatever. Everybody's focused on you, and the excitement can really be something you don't see in a tournament.
A couple years ago, we saw South Range win the state, and we know how exciting that was for them in that program. So just to piggyback on what you're saying, the excitement that it can bring a team, the excitement it can bring a community, the excitement it can bring a whole school. Well, this isn't fair, but sometimes communities and schools and fans don't get as excited if you say we have one wrestler that won a state. But if you say we have a team that won a state championship, that just it gets the community a little bit more fired up.
Yeah, I mean, they get fired up for both, don't get me wrong, but when
but it's
our team does it,
right.
Got all of the family of each and every kid on the team who have a vested interest in it. So, if it's just one person, of course the community is going to support that one person, but just being realistic, it's not the same when you've got a whole group of kids who are all going for the same goal.
All right, Gary. So one of the things that we'll have is last thoughts on this week and what you think we should be keeping our eye on, and what you think next week will bring.
I'd say keep your eye on injuries. There could be some kids that have been out that maybe are now going to get healthy and come back. That's something to keep your eye on. And it happens all the time. I hate to say it, but in the opposite direction, where somebody's wrestling these last few duels or tournaments and maybe they get hurt, and that kind of shakes things up at a weight class. We hope that doesn't happen. You hope that you kind of avoid those kind of fluky accidents, but it is a part of the sport. And also another thing to watch is this is the time where if somebody's going to drop to a lower weight class, they'll probably do it this weekend or next weekend so they can certify. You have to go and make weight at your scratch weight before you can get the 2-pound allowance that comes at Christmas. So you have to make the actual weight class once before you can get the 2-pound allowance. And almost nobody waits until sectionals to do that. So you'll probably see that coming up here in the next couple of weeks where, so-and-so dropped from 138 to 132, or from 132 to 126. That's when you're going to see these things come. And usually you'll see a couple of high-level kids that end up making a decision, hey, I'm allowed to go this weight, so now I'm going to try it out. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to certify for it. And then they'll have the option for sectionals. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But you'll see some of those things happening here pretty soon.
Mark Roberts giving the segment some love. We appreciate that. We appreciate all of our viewers tuning into Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Altizer. That'll wrap up this episode 9 in the books. And next week, we're full steam ahead for double digits as we'll go into episode 10. So we start to get ready for, like you said, team duels and OHSA sectionals as well, coming up very, very soon.
Yeah, it's coming up. I apologize for being late. My meeting ran over, but I was not going to miss this episode.
We want to thank Isaac Griffith for giving us his time and especially in the middle of the school day. We appreciate it. 100 career wins for him in the Hefner tournament. So he has 100 under his belt, probably 100 plus by now. Congratulations to him on that. And once again, thank you for your time. That'll do it for today's episode of Running Point. Me and Scotty and Gary will be back next Wednesday from 1 to 2. I will be back tomorrow from 1 to 2 to recap all the action from tonight. Check out basketball on the network. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find it. We'll be back tomorrow on Running Point, brought to you by